Good morning and welcome to Two Girls in a Pod. I'm Sharon.
I'm Christy, and we have a guest with us today, Carissa Leilani. She's a yogi and she works with energy. You do some energy work. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. Yes. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Absolutely. We're excited too.
Because, one of the things with our podcast is we really are about that overall wellness piece of it. Sometimes people know the value of yoga, energy, meditation, and all that. But I don't know if they sometimes think it's foo-foo stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that. But a lot of people, when you don't understand something, you're pretty quick to dismiss it, right? So you got to just take the time to understand things. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of apprehension, especially if people come from a religious background. They think that it doesn't go together, which it absolutely does. So yeah, there is that little first apprehension from people based on what they've been environmentally exposed to or taught or thought of, or they just automatically think, hey, this is too hard. I don't want to do it. But there's such a big world out there to meditation and yoga. I mean, we could talk about that all day.
Okay. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about how you got into all of this. What kind of was that pivotal moment for you?
Yeah, well, it's quite a story, actually. I grew up in a not very stable household. I went to like 15 different schools, 40 different homes, all across the country. I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico originally. That's where my family's from. So that was always like home base. But I had always been drawn to the spiritual side of things. And I was kind of different because I never grew up like in one place. So, and I didn't have siblings. So it was kind of my own research and my own things. And I was always drawn to like, I know there's more out there. I moved to Tennessee with my family and I decided like, I really need to meditate. I don't know why. I need to learn about this. I need to figure it out. So I started doing guided meditation and mostly it just kind of helped me fall asleep. I was really just getting exposed to the idea of what a meditation was and like just tapping my toe into the water. So I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. And I started having a lot of health problems. I got an autoimmune disease called alopecia areata. It's where your hair falls out in circular little circles. My joints were hurting. I felt very old, like my body couldn't really move. And I thought, well, maybe this is from being a mom, And I would go to the doctor and they just wanted to throw medicine at you, right? Here's painkillers. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to know why this is happening to me. I don't have a history of this. I'm a very healthy person. Like, what's going on? Well, it turns out that I got breast augmentation after I had my son. I was very young when I had him and it was causing havoc on my body.
Oh, okay.
And so this is all very intertwined, how this story goes. So I started understanding like, I'm such a healthy person, I eat healthy, I exercise, I'm all about nutrition and herb, but I have this toxic stuff in my body that's literally poisoning me from the inside out. And at that same time, while I'm going through this and trying to figure out and get to the root cause of my health struggles, the meditation came back really strong. And it was like, you need to meditate. So I started meditating every single day and I got very deep into it. And all of a sudden, these things just started opening up. Like, oh, there's a doctor who can help you. He's a microsurgeon that can take this out because your body develops these capsules around to protect you so that stuff doesn't leak into your body. You need to make sure you have a doctor who can actually take out the whole capsule so it doesn't leave anything. So he was right here and like able to find him. And then just life just started like giving me these things. And then I had a moment where I had an awakening. And I know it sounds like, oh, okay. And people are like, oh, you did plant medicine or something. And I didn't. And I have nothing against that, but I didn't. It was purely from consistently meditating. And it was a moment where the energy, and it's Kundalini energy I've learned, shot through me. And I was inside the cosmos, but the cosmos were inside me. I was a human, but I was an animal. I could see the past, the present, and the future. Like I just connected to source energy and it just like imploded and exploded within me. And after that happened, I was like, what is this? Like, I had no idea because I was a fitness person, not a yogi person. So I started reverse engineering things. So if you ask a lot of yogis, they start with yoga and then move on to the spiritual kind of side. I actually started at like here. And then I'm like, I need to figure this out. I need to figure it out. And I love to research and read. So I'm like, okay, what happened to me? Like, what am I feeling? What is this energy? Like, what's going on? And then the universe cleared another path, which was Kundalini Yoga. And it was the only thing that could get me back to that place where I felt that feeling with the meditations and the breath work and the mantras and the movement. And I started to understand like all of this stuff is linked together. These guys that have been doing this for thousands of years, like they got it, like they have been working on this. And so I could easily access that space of source energy when I meditated through Kundalini Yoga. So then I went backwards and, got certified in that and got certified in physical yoga and all the other stuff. So my story is a little bit different. I didn't go from yoga to hatha to Kundalini and upwards. It went the other way down.
So explain to people who don't know what that means, Kundalini.
Yeah. So Kundalini is the energy that's stored at the base of your spine. So we see symbols all the time, right? Like if you see the medical symbol on a hospital or on an ambulance, it's the staff of Caduceus, which is Hermes' staff, which is the staff of knowledge, right? So what it is the line, and it's got two snakes that actually I have a book right here. And it's got snakes that go around it. That is your energy that comes from the base of the spine up, and it links through the chakras. So your chakras are a pool of energy. So the spot where they cross is your chakra, essentially, and it comes up and out the crown. It is two because you have two nostrils, your Ida and your Pingala, and that's your masculine and your feminine energy. They come down together, they mix and become the Shushmana, and they come up and out the crown. So what I experienced with that awakening was that energy shooting through me, opening up my crown. And now once you have that awakening, it never closes again. Like it's kind of like, the Matrix. Once you see it, or like Wizard of Oz, you've seen the man behind the curtain. You can't unsee that. And a lot of people right now are experiencing that in their own ways with their own stories, but it's a Kundalini awakening.
Yes. Like, it's interesting because oftentimes they don't understand that energy is everywhere. They don't understand that they emit energy. They don't understand they take in energy. They don't understand that there's just energy. And, when you talk to people, and oftentimes this I'll talk to them about why is it that you feel, which I don't know. And sometimes I tell people you're picking up on somebody else's stuff. We call it stuff, but it's really energy. Mm-hmm. And most people don't actively participate with themselves in finding their own energy source, so to speak. And it sounds like that's kind of what you did, is you found that internal energy. And once you find your internal energy, then you can help manifest that to others or whatever it is that you want to do with it. And is that why you then do the yoga? How does that tie into this as well?
Yeah. So you're right. A lot of people are very disconnected from their emotions. We're distracted by social media, by food, by stimulants, by just all kinds of things. And the world is very overwhelming right now. So there is a lot of disconnection to our reactive state. So I call Kundalini the yoga of energetic awareness because we have to be aware. So many people, again, like that disconnection, are just not self-aware of what they're emitting, what they're receiving, what they're doing. And so it became clear to me that like this was what I was supposed to do. Just because how much it changed my life and how much I saw that it spread out to the other people in my family, to the other people that I knew, how good you feel, how happy you are able to give your light to the world. A lot of people are really afraid to do that, So the Kundalini gets you to a place where you get to listen to your intuition. As women, we have been taught that we're not allowed to listen to that and that, we have to be nice. And that gets us in a lot of trouble. And we have a lot of, I'm getting chills. We have a lot of work to do to make up with that intuition of ours. She's always been there for us and she's always been so smart, but we have learned to just shush her away. So when you do Kundalini Yoga and you meditate the way that, I can guide you to meditate, you can find her again and you can repair that relationship with her so that the next time, because what mistakes happen, they keep happening until we learn from them. So that the next time that it happens, instead of that reactive, oh, I have to be nice state, you listen and you say, oh, something's not right here. And you protect yourself. And it's really, really important that especially women tune into that. And it's important now. I mean, after 2020, everything kind of went a little crazy. And I don't think anyone's really resolved that within themselves. They all just kind of try to, it's like a person who's gone through trauma, right? You know, you just kind of like shush it down and move on. And then you're like, oh, that's 20 years later when you have like chronic problems. I think as a society, as a collective, we've done that. And right now, like if you can touch that energy within yourself, and if you can unravel it and you can transmute it and release it, oh, how much different the world will be. Mm-hmm. So that's what I see is like, we all need to find that space.
Well, and I think you're right. I think that in society itself, we've been taught to minimize what we're intuitively feeling. It's not a thought. And I tell people it's not a thought. It's you have that feeling at your gut level. And it might say, something's not right here. Or I shouldn't be making this choice. But we will often go against that because we're so used to, like you said, of squashing that down. And so people make these decisions. Hence why I still have employment a lot of times. Just because. Well, it really is. It's because we'll talk and I'll say, well, where did you realize, where was this catalyst that happened? Oh, I made this decision. It was not the best decision. Well, why do you think you made it? And oftentimes they'll say, well, I kind of felt pressured into it or I thought I should do it because of societal, whatever it is, those external things to us. And teaching people to really focus and pay attention and to understand that we're all energy sources in a way. And I tell people, anytime you meet somebody, however brief, a little bit stays with you and a little bit goes. Mm-hmm. That exchange of energy is very, 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 very quick.
Yep.
You're right. We don't do that. So how do you think we get people involved in this more? How do you think we get people to buy into this?
So, I mean, I actually just did a post on this. I know you guys are on my Instagram and stuff. And since I started at this end of Kundalini Yoga and I'm working my way backwards, but I'm also a little bit of like let me understand the rules. Why do we have these rules? Like, what does this mean? So for Kundalini Yoga, if you've ever seen it or you've ever heard of it or you've ever seen a class, it looks a bit different. First of all, we're very used to Western yoga, which is a skinny girl in leggings, in a really nice studio, and it's very exclusive, which is completely opposite of what real yoga is. Yoga is not just physical movement, not just a class. It's not for one person. Yoga pants are not required, like none of that. But Kundalini Yoga, the movements are very different. They're very dynamic, not static. And most of the people wear white. Some people wear turbans. And it can look a little off-putting. There's reasons for all of that, right? So the white thing, the reason that Kundalini Yogas wear white is it's energy. If you are wearing black, and this is the example I use. We live in Vegas. It's very hot. You have a sun visor and you put the silver side on the out. One time I put the black side on the out and my car was so hot. It was like 160 degrees. If you have the silver side, it deflects energy. So Kundalini Yogas wear white to deflect other people's energy. I just saw a thing with Sadhguru where he was saying, why do you guys wear, and I just had this conversation with someone too, why do you wear black at a funeral? You're absorbing all that energy. Like, why would you do that? You want to wear white because you don't want that sad death energy. So for people who would go to a normal Kundalini class, it can be very off-putting. The turban is for meditation. It helps to keep the energy inside the crown, but it can look like something completely different.
Okay.
So for me, what I find that is, and what I intuitively feel is very important to make this kind of energy work and tools accessible to people is to be my authentic self and bring my energy with it. Come join. Everybody is welcome. I want you to experience your true self too. And if you want to wear white, wonderful. And if you want to cover your head, fantastic. I think you should just experiment with it and see how you feel. Everyone should understand what it feels like for them. but it's not required. When things get too dogmatic and have too many stringent requirements, it pushes people away. And I feel like this work is so important. These tools are so important. I mean, everybody's doing Kundalini yoga that's in wellness space. They just don't know it yet. Like Wim Hof, cold showers, that's called hydrotherapy. That's been done in Kundalini yoga for thousands of years. Breath work, pranayama, done forever. Meditation, mindfulness, asana, yoga. Like all of these things are all part of Kundalini. People just don't realize that because I think the dogmatic style of how things look put people off. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm trying to change it a little bit.
Well, and
I help it out.
I think like you said earlier, a lot of people have this idea that it's going to somehow impact how their belief system. And that's a huge thing for people.
Well, and it looks like a belief system too, because of the way that everyone dresses the same and does that stuff too. So, and that's where I'm like, come on, we're our own people here. Do what feels right for you. When I meditate, I cover my head because I know that I've done it without and I've done it with, and I feel different when it is. I feel the energy stay here. That works for me. Am I going to wear white all day, every day? No, I'm a very vibrant person. I want to live in color. I like color. But if it's a very important situation where I need to protect my energy, you can bet I'm going to wear white because I've learned that. And I think it's very similar to like astrology. I love astrology. I work with astrology a lot. And my husband's like, well, what about people with the horoscopes and they follow this and that? And I said, you know what? It's like a GPS. You can follow the GPS. And the GPS will tell you if there is going to be a traffic jam or if the road is closed. You can follow it or you don't have to, but it can help you get on your path a little faster, a little easier if you just listen to it. So it's kind of like that to me, I think. So, yeah.
It's interesting because when we talk about that, as therapists, we always tease, is Mars in retrograde and those things with people, or how, it's the moon full, because we don't realize that's all energy.
It is.
And it's kind of like, I was talking to my client yesterday and he got a headache. He hadn't had one in a long time. And the first thing goes, I wonder if it has something to do with the weather, because we know those things impact us. It's people, say, oh man, my knee's hurting. We must be getting, because
but that's true.
But seriously, it really is. There is a connectivity. And I think that we don't understand that we are more connected to the elements and to the universe, everything. There is more of a connectivity than we talk about that all the time.
Well, I think, it's people are so distracted by what they, see as problems in everyday life and so attached to that side of life when there's actually so much more in depth that's going on inside of us, that if we could just connect at that level and realize that the peace that comes from that, if we can disconnect from all of this other stuff, it's really just impacting us, I think, on such a level, a mental health level, an emotional level. And it keeps people, I think, stuck where they are. It's like you said about people being afraid that it's going to interfere with how they believe and that kind of stuff, that keeps them wrapped up in just the everyday that's happening around them.
So one of my favorite quotes is, and I don't know who said it, but it says, prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening.
Yes.
And I was just having this conversation with a friend yesterday about how important it is to have reciprocity in a conversation. Everybody wants to share. And so a lot of time people just speak so that they can speak more, or they listen to speak again. And everybody needs to be heard. And so I feel like the relationship with whatever source, whatever energy, whatever you want to call it, it's a two-way street. If all you are is doing the talking and you're never doing the listening, it's not a reciprocal relationship. And so I have students that are from all different faiths. And all it has done is made their faith stronger. It doesn't take away from it at all, because yoga, despite what people may think or preconceived notions or what they've heard, it's not a religion. It's not even a philosophy. It's a way of tapping in and tuning in. We are all, like you were saying, connected. We are part of nature. And it's so important that we get out in nature every day. Now they're saying, oh, grounding, go ground in the grass. You feel the difference when you connect to the earth. That's because we are part of her. That's because that moon, we're 70% water. It affects the tides on this earth. It affects the water within us. And so, yeah, on a full moon, way more people are going to get arrested, have car accidents, be at the hospital, more babies are born. These things are true. I always say that the difference between science and spirituality is understanding. They're not there yet. Now, oh yeah, meditation actually does change your waves in your brain. So this is science now. Well, it's been done for thousands of years and you called it woo-woo. So, breath work, that actually does calm the nervous system. So it's science now.
It is is a really fascinating thing because, as I've been evolving and I've been a therapist for 20 plus years. So watching that evolution of what we looked at of the different kind of therapeutic approaches and all the different stuff. But the thing is, if we cannot get somebody to slow down, that noise keeps them from grounding. It keeps them from engagement. It keeps them from everything. The quickest way to do that is through meditation or mindfulness. Pay attention. It's interesting when you said that comment, about prayer. I always tell people, because I'm like you, I have people from all different kinds of religious backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds and stuff like that, which I really love and appreciate. And they'll say well, I pray for this. And I said, the difference is when you pray for something, you have to wait for the answer. I said, sometimes you get the answer and you don't like it. So you feel like it's not been answered. Okay. So sometimes, say if you're praying to God and you're asking this and the answer is no, I got to ask it a different way, because we try to circumvent things but sometimes that's that thing of not listening to that intuitive piece of us. We will try to circumvent it to make it fit. And it doesn't matter how many ways we try to circumvent it, it will not fit because it is not the right answer.
Yeah.
I think people get afraid of that too. And people, when they come to my office, there's anxiety and stuff about that, because the thing is, well, what if I change and I don't like it? I said, that's when I get excited. I said, good, we erase it and we start again. Seriously,
yeah,
because we have the ability to do that. People think that we're stuck in something because we get involved in labels or the boxes that we create. But actually, it's the boxes that society or others created for us. We get stuck in them, and then we forget. So when we hear ideas like this, it's like that. No, that sounds like foo-foo stuff.
Or sounds out there.
When I talk with people in my practice about the power of gratitude, and they'll say, how did that work? What is this voodoo magic?
It's a superpower. Gratitude is a superpower. I tell people that all the time.
But then I have to break it down into more of a thing that they can understand. I said, we're rewiring your neurotransmitters, which is rewiring your what? Energy.
And your reality. Therefore, your reality changes.
Absolutely. And I think, when people start to understand that there's so many ways to get there. And if what you're using isn't working, then being willing to step outside that comfort or what we know in order to embrace something else that really becomes more beneficial for us, that we can then embrace ourselves and say, oh, this is what this feels like,
Absolutely. We put ourselves, humans, I graduated with my degree in psychology too. So like, you know this, we categorize, we put things in boxes. We love to boxing, and yoga is not immune from it either. That's another thing, like with the white and the turban, and you have to do this and you have to act this way. You have to be stoic. Who says you have to live this way? Who says these boxes are made for you? Like, I don't understand. So I just did a international teacher training in Bali on authentic social media marketing. And I told them, I said, people don't know the word for this. It's energy. I said, but if I were to come online and I were to be like this, stoic and very soft and silent, like a Kundalini yogi that you're used to seeing, and telling you, listen to me, you wouldn't know what it is. You wouldn't be able to define it, but you wouldn't trust me, because that's not my authentic self. My authentic self, I talk with my hands. I'm very passionate. I'm very lively. That is how I have to bring Kundalini Yoga, because that is my authenticity coming out. If I put myself in that box, I would not make an impact. I couldn't make an impact because I wouldn't be giving that energy that's authentic of mine, my authentic signature to the world. And it's so important that people feel the power within themselves to figure out what their authentic energy signature is and to be it and do it. And I think that one, doing it yourself gives other people the permission to do that, but having a support system. And that's why community is so important, that says, hey, you do you, I'm here for you. I got you. Go try it. And like you said, if it's not working, erase it and try again. There's no rules here. You can be and do and feel all the things that feel right for you.
You know, it's funny, that made me think of, I was running this group and it was mostly young boys, middle school, high school. And I was having to do some biofeedback, and it was this really great program. You attach it, you could see it. And you had to, and part of it was you had to use breath to move the objects and do the stuff. Oh my goodness, they struggled with this. Oh,
really?
Well, the thing is they're not taught to stop and breathe.
Yeah.
You know,
nobody is.
We do such an injustice to the male population too, because we keep perpetuating these antiquated ideas, and we got to start changing that. You know what I mean? So they were there, and oh my God, just struggling and struggling. And then finally one got it. And they were all there like, dude, what did you do? What did you do? He kind of didn't know. He goes, no, y'all have to figure it out on your own. But what happened was the next one went, and I don't know what one of them was doing. And so he laughed and it moved the ball.
Yeah. Gave permission to do the same.
Well, the thing is one can move it through breath. And I never told them what they could use. It was up to them to find that. But you could also do it through laughter. So the one laughed and it moved. He was like, how did I do that? And then they're trying to figure out the how instead of realizing they were just in the moment. And so he could laugh, go through the other one could breathe. The other ones had a very difficult time. Yeah. And it's because they were trying to find what the other person was doing. I said, do you. Yep. And that was really difficult for him, because do you means you have to know you.
Exactly. And that is what I told those students as well. Who are you? I said, fine. I gave them homework. What is the 3 things that stripped everything else away? When you are you by yourself, what are the 3 things that light you up? What are the things that make your eyes smile? That's your true self. That's your energy. And you can go deeper into that. Add a bunch of things, but those 3 words, that's you. And explore it. Get to know it. Because you're right. If you don't know who you are, then how can you be that to the world? How can you give that? And how sad would that be if you went your whole life not knowing that? And you're right about boys not having a huge injustice to them. So I worked with children. I used to own a business for children. I was an investigator for Child Protective Services. Like, I love kids. I really, really love kids. And so I know children. I know how they work. I know how they think. I mean, I have 3 of my own, from kindergarten to just graduated high school. And what I always say is, I don't know a baby boy who didn't cry. I don't know a baby boy who didn't have the same emotions that a girl did. But all of a sudden, through society and through expectations and through what we put on boys, they're not allowed to be that or do that anymore, unless it's like a football game. You know what I mean? There's only acceptable places or times for them to have emotion. And then we wonder why there's so much anger and so much anxiety and so much disconnection and failed communication, because the boys haven't been given the opportunity to be all of themselves.
It's kind of sad, because I do think that, you know, when we look at people in general, females are conditioned differently than males, and we continue to, like I said, perpetuate this antiquated ideas and stuff like that. But even when I'm doing couples work, I always tell them, you have to picture yourself like a triangle. They're a triangle. I said, at the bottom is each individual. I said, sometimes when we decide to grow together, we start to go to that point, but we never lose our individuality, because we still have it down here. We can come here and we can morph back. We can do all these things, but too much of the time, people lose themselves in relationships. But and I always tell them, you didn't lose yourself because you never found yourself in the first place. I just don't understand this concept.
That's so true. And that is so huge. It's huge, especially the young relationships. I mean, I think we have all been there. And you look back on that and you're like, wow, like, I mean, we're all green. We all have to have experience in order to grow and do these things. But I don't know, those young relationships can be some of the hardest because we don't know. We don't know who we are. We don't know what to expect. We don't know what we will accept. We don't know what we want.
Do you find even work, when you said you work with kids, do you ever find that when you worked with kids, because I worked with kids for a majority of my career, I'm a play therapist as well.
I love that.
But do you find that when you are around kids that people will often say to themselves, oh, sweetie, you can just be whatever you want to be. And then as soon as they start doing, stop doing that. What do you do? So we kind of encourage it, but then we kind of rein them back in and we really take away. Yeah. You said this the other day about imagination. Kids' imagination is kids no longer have their own imagination. It's somebody else's imagination that they're living through because of, we're talking about games and just different stuff.
You have a huge point there.
Yeah, it's always just what's in front of them. They're living out somebody else's reality through video games and
YouTube,
social media. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was so true. And I had thought about that, but it's true. We're squashing kids' imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And then so when I get these kids I have this carpet in my office, it's very soft. And so I had some kiddos in here one day a few weeks ago, and I thought, I'm going to see what this is like for them. And then pretty soon they're swimming in it, they're touching in it, they're just there. And people, it doesn't bother me when we allow them. So I was listening to this is the ocean, they were doing their stuff. And I thought, because in that moment, that really becomes what it is.
Yeah.
And what I tell people is it's our imagination, it's our dreams. That's what we manifest. That becomes that energy that takes a life.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
if I'm not teaching you how to dream, if I'm not, or allowing that, then how does that manifest?
Absolutely. And there's so many points with what you're saying. One, kids can teach us so much. They are the most closely connected to source that there is.
Yes.
They're the most present of all people. They are there. They understand how to find their joy. They know their energy signature. They can teach you so much if you let them, if you're not trying to teach them everything. Another thing, I homeschooled for a while. I have 3 kids who are very, very different. My son is an artist. He is not an academic kid. My middle daughter, she is a genius. She skipped 2 grades. She is like literally the highest scores you can get on tests. That's her, but that is her personality. And then my baby, she is like my moonchild. She understands people. She has more emotional intelligence than most adults. And she just can tune into people very well, but she doesn't love academics either. And so I have a problem. I love their school. Let me just say that I have made sure to find a school that could touch each of them. But it's very hard for me because my baby, she has a very big spirit. And I think it's important that she learns how to focus and have self-discipline, but I don't want them to break her spirit. And it's really important for me that she's not getting somebody else's imagination, that she's getting steps in other people's perspectives. I think that's important, but that she maintains her spirit, because the conformity that comes through schools, you see it. Like I said, my middle daughter, that's for her. She is Capricorn, Virgo, like I am going to be the CEO. That is who she is. So it fits her well. The baby and my oldest, it was not for them. It's not for them. And
what
so, all I care.
What are their signs? The little one.
The baby, she's Sagittarius. So she's like fire and silly. She's a Taurus moon. So when this girl gets mad, it is the stomp and the whole thing. And then she's a Leo rising. So she's like, oh, look at me. And I mean, she is just sweet, pure fire, funny,
energy,
caring, thoughtful. Yeah, it's funny because our whole family, I'm a triple air, Gemini, sun and moon, Aquarius rising. My husband is water. My oldest son, he's a Taurus, so earth, Capricorn, daughter, earth. And she came in, she was the fire. So she balanced out the entire family. And then my son is very much a Taurus. He wants the nicest clothes, the best food, and he wants to stay home all the time. He don't want to do nothing. He doesn't like vacations. He doesn't want to go anywhere. And he's an artist. He wants to be in that world that he's created. And I'm so happy that school did not break that in him. He has maintained that. So I really, I want them to obviously have a good education and that kind of stuff, but I really want them to foster what feeds them and fuels them. And that's so important that we do with our kids in the next generation so that they can be free to be themselves and not in these blinders of life.
Well, and I think that's where, we circle back to the yoga and the mindfulness and all of those things is that I think when people are young, could be at any age because we just flounder about, but it's that I think everybody in a way is looking for that ability to ground themselves in that authenticity. We just don't know it, but we're constantly.
Yeah, I think it's just that we don't know how because we have listened to everybody else for so long about who we are,
Mm-hmm.
We're raised, like you said, so they're always being taught something about the constructs of our society and what kind of role they're supposed to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, when we look at those constructs, I think that, and I tell parents, I get it. You came from this construct and sometimes you want to break away from it for whatever reason. But I always tell them, think about those positive things. And then how do you transfer that over? And then how do you create more of it? And it might look different because once again, we've got to get outside those boxes, those labels, those things that really are binding us. When you look at things like yoga, meditation, gratitude, that's taking you outside that box to realize there is such a bigger universe out there that we're not tapping into, that we are not using as a source.
Absolutely. And I think that, if you look through history, that some of that has been done purposefully to keep us from our power. And the thing is, though, with Kundalini Yoga, what I love so much about it is there is no box. You are the one. I mean, if it's done the way it should be done, there is not somebody up here and now all these people are following this person. It is you connecting to yourself. You have a guide that shows you these are tools you can use to access your infinity. These are tools you can use to access your true self. You just have to do it, right? You have to do the work. So what I love about it is it's your own journey. It is your own journey. You're just learning the tools to get there. And in Kundalini Yoga, because it is the oldest form of yoga, it was mentioned with the Vedas, which is like one of the oldest texts ever written. Hold on, I lost it. I had a dissection. I don't know if Lacey told you, but sometimes like I had some issues and then I'll just lose something and then it comes back. So sorry. But what I was going to say was, let me think, let me get back to it. You can edit
You were
it out.
talking about it being the oldest and that it's not about.
Oh, thank you. So these yogis have been practicing and learning and trying and writing down these techniques of meditation and breath that change things. And so in Kundalini Yoga, there are so many, thousands of different ways to meditate and to breathe. And there are books upon books upon books written about it. So if I need to calm my nervous system because I am scattered and my energy is everywhere, there's a meditation for that. If I need to get my energy up because I'm lethargic, there's an energy for that. If I'm heartbroken and I need some healing, there is an energy for that, a meditation for that. If you need to protect your aura because you feel like there's been a lot of energy vampires and there's nothing left in you, there are meditations for that. So it's like, if you give that the chance, if you give yourself the moment to do this crazy, weird thing and to learn something new, it's life-changing. It's life-changing because you can access it anytime.
I think that's interesting because I think most people in Western who do the Western yoga and that Western thought is that meditation is only for breath work and for that. So that's good. I think that would be a very different concept for them to realize that you can use that to give you energy. You can use that to heal that emotional. I mean, yoga has always been a thing that can heal, but it's, once again, it's the person's turning this off a little to listen. We talked about that, people in conversations. We do not teach active listening. And because we don't teach it and we don't know it, most people don't even actively listen with themselves. They will fight that intuitive thing is because in our conversations, they become argumentative. They become proving this point is right and this point is right.
Well, and like
That's ego.
You're always
That's ego.
responding.
Yeah.
Listening to respond.
Yep.
So
Listening to
when
respond.
When I do couples work, that's my thing. I'll tell them, we're going to work on active listening. I am listening. You're listening, but you're not hearing. Those are two different.
Huge difference. Huge difference.
And I will tell them, what did you just hear that person say? And then they'll come up with this response and say that. I said, well, because they weren't hearing the message. They were listening to the words and not hearing the message. And I think those are such big things. And I think when we can start using stuff that's outside that comfort, once again, and yoga's that for a lot of people, that it helps you, it makes you a healthier, well-rounded person than we focus on one thing and one thing only. And there's so much more to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So many good points made there. I think that a lot of people, when they first think about meditation, they are like, well, I can't turn my mind off. And I'm like, that is not the point. Like that happens. Just like yoga, they're like, oh, well, I'm not flexible. Well, that's not the point either. It's a byproduct. It happens over time and consistency, but that's not the point of why we do asana or physical postures. And the same thing with meditation. It's like your computer with this app, right? And there's all these things in the background, all these apps that you don't even know that you have that were opened, right? And so when you're doing your meditation, over time, it slowly clears those apps out. So you get to that main operating system, which is your true self. But with Kundalini, there are so many meditations that are active. I did a meditation before this podcast so that I'd be centered and, ready and present. And I was sweating because the meditations, they use mantra, which is sound vibration. They use mudra, which are finger placements that has, your electromagnetic field and makes different currents and connections. They use breath patterns. They use drishti points. They use your tongue. They use your bandha locks. So these are locks in your body. So you're very active in a lot of these meditations. So you don't have time to think about what's going on in your mind. You are so busy moving energy through your body that they're gone. They're not even there. And that I think is such a really good way for people who have never meditated before to start with. And that's why I love mantra meditations to start, because you don't have time to think about this stuff. It'll start to slowly disappear as you're doing this.
One of my clients, he does have a hard time shutting off his things. So I had him doing a guided meditation, and it's a short one. He goes, I didn't do very good. I says, well, let's talk about it. He said, I got to the place where the guy said that the air going in is cooler than the air coming out. He goes, and then I didn't hear anything else. I said, honey, you were meditating. He goes, what do you mean? I said, because you got so fixated on the feel of the air coming in and going out. I said, that became the meditation. It wasn't the words. It was. He goes, oh. Because I didn't think.
Yeah. He's a pro. He didn't even know it.
But I think once again, it's because we get caught up in all of that stuff.
Preconceived notions of what something is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing is that I think that we are moving into that more holistic view of the human body and who we are. And it's so funny because when we talk about energy and I talk to people, I said, you're putting off an energy. What does that mean? I mean, that doesn't make sense. And I'll have them do this activity where I have them take their hands and put them by each other. And I'll say, go close. I'll say, what do you feel? And they go, well, that tickles.
Yep.
Say, that's your energy. And then I'll say, now I said, I'm going to do it with you. So I'll put my hand in theirs and they'll say, why is yours warm? I said, I don't know. It's just my energy. Yep. And then I'm saying, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my hand down. How come I still feel it, but I don't feel mine? I said, because honey, you don't work with your energy. But they'll be there like, that's me. And I'll say, yeah, that's you.
Everything has an electromagnetic field. Our rocks, our earth, everything, including us.
Yes.
Including us. And so if you learn, again, the yoga of energetic awareness, if you are aware that you are emitting an electromagnetic field, then you can work with it. Then you can expand it. You can retract it. You can focus it. It's a power. It's a superpower. And a lot of people need it. We all need it.
Yes. I think if people understood that definition of awareness better, when you use that term, a lot of people think they are aware, meaning that they are aware of what's going on around them. They're vigilant. They're, those kinds of things. And that's not what we're talking about at all. And I think that people just do not have a concept of what that really is, that awareness piece.
That's really interesting. What would you define it as?
Well, I think that inside thing, realizing that I am the soul within me, recognizes the stuff that's going on around me, but understanding that that inner peace is just aware of this outside stuff that's going on, but that is not me. I'm the person behind all of that. I am the awareness behind all of that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't understand that. They're so identified with life happenings that they think that's who they are.
Yeah, for sure. There's a great quote. I'm sure you guys have read it where it's saying once you realize that person that's doing all the thinking and all the stuff, there's another person there. That's the real you. That's that awareness, right?
Yes.
That's that awareness.
Yeah.
I was talking to a client once along that line, and she was saying, she goes, you know what? She says, here I am. I'm doing good. And then she goes, it's like out of the corner, out of the darkness of that corner, an arrow comes in. Boom. My mood is like down and I'm all this and I'm all that. I said, sweetie, I want to take you on a journey with me. She goes, where are we going? I said, to the corner. I said, and I want you to take a look. I said, because you are the arrow, baby. I said, but she had that awareness, but she didn't understand. But the true awareness, like she said, she was aware of this external thing.
Yeah.
So we took that journey and I helped her to see, then that was true awareness.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
So, that internal awareness, we always on our podcast, we're promoting be your authentic self, be your authentic self. And we have different people on because everybody has their story. Everybody has their journey.
Well, it's a learning process, I think, to be able to uncover that and define that authentic self. You know what I mean? To be able to know what that even is. There's a lot of stuff that people have to get rid of and uncover to be able to get to that place.
And
absolutely. And everybody's journey is different. Yeah. Everybody is allowed their own path to find their true self.
Well, and that's why having you on here, now somebody will listen and say, what is that? Maybe that's for me. Then they explore it. And then that might be their journey. Yeah. And then they might
I love that.
No, that's not me. I like the gratitude one better. Or, because we do a lot of different things. It's through travel, finding your passions, whatever it is. But I think that becomes the thing. So that's why we're always so grateful for our guests, because they hopefully will allow another avenue, another road for somebody's journey.
Now, Ripley, you teach classes, correct? There where you're located, do you do things online as well?
So I'm actually building a platform where we're going to have online meditations, online lives. There's going to be programs, like specific ones. I have one for the women's moon cycle meditations and classes. I have some for the chakras series. I'm going to have one coming up on trauma through the body and how to release that. Since I did have that dissection, I just had to go through a big healing journey myself, and learning that when you are in a state of PTSD, it's very difficult to access that space. So to help us identify that trauma, to help us release that trauma, and then help us get to a state in our nervous system where we can actually get to a meditative state. So all that stuff is going to be up on my site. On my Instagram, I'll be announcing it very soon on Celestial Soul. I do want to say a couple little things. I know we're almost out of time, but one, I always say that anything can be a meditation. When you are in the present moment, completely enraptured in what you are doing, whether it's a shower or a walk in nature, doing art, journaling, working out, all of those things are forms of meditation. So just because visually you've seen people sitting down, with their hands in a mudra, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the right meditation for you. so many ways to access meditation within yourself. And then 2, a meditation is like a physical journey, like running a marathon. You're not going to go out and run 26.2 miles your first day. So don't even expect that, because you are just leading yourself up to fail. But what you have to do is you got to lace up your kick. You got to go out and you have to have a plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a half mile today. I'm going to do a mile next week, and then build from there. So, and then the third thing is that a journey, whether it's a physical one or a spiritual one or anything, it's not a linear path. It's not even a circular path. It's more of a spiral, and we're going to fall off, and things are going to happen, and life's going to happen, and we're going to come back, but we're going to come back with a little bit more knowledge. Just don't quit. I, again, had this dissection. I almost died. Like, I was in bed in the hospital and stuff, completely fell off of my practice. Sometimes life happens, but you can't get discouraged and say, well, I guess I'm done. Not ever going to do that again. You just start over again. And that's okay. Just like if you work out and you miss a week, people fall off and just never go back to the gym. No, that's part of the journey. It's part of the journey. You just go back when you get back home, or just when you're ready, you know? So I want everybody to know that meditation can mean whatever it needs to mean for them, and that look around. Where do you feel present? Where do you feel peace? Do that.
Yes.
We want to thank you so much for joining us. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure. It's, we get to learn a little bit more. When you get your stuff up and running, we will definitely share it with our group of people, and hopefully they'll tune into it and start on their own journey. So once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Well, it's so great to meet you, ladies. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you so much to everybody who's listening. We will be back next week. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.